Hello. Today we are looking at gate 24 in the line 1, and this line is called the Sin of Omission. Omission, not emissions. Although sometimes, well, it depends what you've eaten. The Sin of Omission. I'm going to stop now. Lifetime learning. Transformation that requires retrogressive periods before renewal can take place. Ra said that this is literally about the individual. You take the individual into a restaurant and they order something and the food is good. And the next time they go into that restaurant and they order exactly the same thing. And it just keeps doing that. It's simply about the way in which the individual process works. It's that concept that is moving through. It has to go through it over and over again. It has to be processed. And it's not an organized repetition like you would find in logic circuitry. There's no structure to it. This is just a repetitive pulse that keeps on coming back. Gate 24 is called returning, after all. There is no step forward until that process ends. The exaltation says the will to triumph, and in this case, the faith that the end justifies the means. Inspiration that demands a reassessment of past thinking before a rational concept can be established. We're in the quarter of initiation here. Ra says that this is the way of returning. There is no initiation without the returning, without the establishment of those patterns and the will to triumph, regardless of how painful it is for the 24 to have this noise in the head, this constant going over and over and over. It's worth it, because when you get to that aha moment, there's an exhilaration because it's a moment of mutation. This can be a very noisy gate. It can be a very noisy channel, internally at least. Many people with activations in this stream, from the 61 down to the 23, they can have all sorts of sounds in their heads, ringing in the ears, pulsing, buzzing sounds, sometimes even actual musical sounds, the instrument itself. My mum used to hear, actually, she's not a really good example because I think she was bonkers in so many ways. She used to hear a brass band playing in her head. And this was the thing that, that was part of her circuitry. It wasn't always great. It did used to drive her crazy sometimes. Maybe that's what did it. Okay, not sure what's going on with me today. Anyway, so you might find that actual instrument noise, not just a buzzing or a sort of, the sort of tinnitus sound, because individuality is very acoustic. So it can be joyful, it can drive you crazy. The 24 gets an inspiration, and as it says in the White Book, inspiration that demands a reassessment of past thinking before a rational concept can be established. Is this really the knowing? Do I really know this? I have to go back and see if this is correct. Just over and over again. And in the detriment, we have self-delusion, which unnaturally justifies periods of retrogression, inspiration that leads to an irrational focus on what is past. This detriment is in Neptune, and Ra said that whenever you see Neptune in the first line, you should be a bit suspicious, because Neptune can hide things from us. Yes. Oh, my pen. I wondered where that had gone. I must stop hiding things in my hair. There's never anything useful out there. Okay, so Neptune can hide things from us. So there's no real clear foundation to this hexagram. There's something that's not quite right. The structure is not necessarily stable. So bear that in mind as we go through this gate 24. There are three rules about knowing. I'm having one of those days. The first rule is that you have to know what you need to know, which generally means you have to know who you are. I mean, that's what that one comes down to. The second rule, you have to know what you don't need to know, what is irrelevant in your life. And three, you have to know what is unknowable, things that you cannot ever know. And if you can know the first and let go of the other two, you can be okay. Well, otherwise you can go crazy trying to know all the things that you don't know or cannot know or actually don't need to know. And this is really hard for a first line. Think of all the things we know about first lines. They want to know things. They want to dig in and find out. And they can get very lost in that. And of course, we have the melancholy that runs through this as an individual gate. The individual mind wants to come up with something new. No, it's not there to produce the same old, same old. There's quite a pressure involved all the time here. So the grounding to the sun in gate 24 is the earth in gate 44. And this is a splenic gate in tribal circuitry. And the first line is called conditions. And this is a line that says that nothing works without interaction. And yet here we have a first line, lower trigram, individual, very introspective. It doesn't really, it's not individual, it's tribal. Sorry, it's grounding the, do you think I should start this one again? It's not individual, scrub that bit. But it doesn't know about interaction because it's a first line, it's lower trigram. But it is tribal. And because of that, there is that sort of the tribal energy runs through the whole of this 44. And the 44 is the personnel manager. That's the energy that it carries. So it can be a bit manipulative, but only because it's trying to get the best it can for the tribe. The 44 is part of the stream of instinct, and it's closely related to smell, and it can smell a rat and it can smell a lie. So how does this ground the 24? Which is in individuality. Perhaps because it knows when it's being lied to, it can keep our 24-1 on track. It can remind them of what they really need to know and what they can let go of. Even when the 24 is lost in its mental process of explaining why it needs to know something, the 44 can step up and point out that, hey, you're lying to yourself here. The splenic fear of the 44 is the past catching up with it. And perhaps there's something else here as well, keeping that 24 from rehashing something old when actually it's designed to bring something new into the world through its mutative pulse. If you have any of these gates, does this resonate with you? If you don't have these gates, does any of this resonate with you? Would you like to share? I invite you to leave anything that you have to say in the comments, because you might have a different interpretation than mine. The moon. We have been in gate 5 since just after midnight. That's the gate of fixed risen. You'll remember it from yesterday. We go into gate 26 at 10:38. This is the ego gate that gives us the channel with the 44. And it's the channel of surrender, the creative channel of tribal circuitry, which is always alert to the changing markets, to economic situations, able to assess the material needs of others and then adjust what they've got to offer spontaneously in order to make it attractive to them. Great salesman, always putting the tribe and the support of the tribe first, and always seeking to find a really good balance between work and rest. Can you feel this influence today? And at 21:04, we move into gate 11, which is the gate of ideas in the ajna, in the experiential collective circuit. There could be an exploration of ideas that can be shared and could stimulate others. There's a theme of reflection here. It's ideas float in and out. Maybe there's a dreamy quality to them as the experiences of the past are processed and made sense out of. I've got a wandering chopstick. Not sure that's very stimulating to anybody. Okay. And then the final moon gate is at 7:25 tomorrow morning, and it's gate 10 in the G center. And this is the gate of the behavior of the self, bringing us a channel with the south node, which is in gate 57 in the splenic center. And this is the channel of perfected form. It's a design of survival that is guided by intuition. It's not the mind, it's not emotional, It's that splenic existential awareness. There can be a self-centeredness here. There could be a self-absorption here. But that's a natural part of this process. It's, you know, in a channel that can be wholly immersed in living true to its own self. And it's absolutely correct for it to be doing that. So that's our weather today. Thank you for watching. Yeah, I'll see you again tomorrow. And until then, go gently.